Hello YouTube, EvShrug here. Today let's talk about top 3 mistakes that people make when getting into headphones. Alright, so this is a bit of a journey, and you know what? You're gonna make mistakes, that's part of life, you've probably heard that before. One thing we're gonna do today to make it easier is I'm gonna use these nice big Sharpie pens, and fat Sharpies are something that's kind of beautiful, right? You know you're gonna make mistakes, and it's fine. It's gonna come out beautiful anyway because that fatness just brings out the right thing. That's gonna be integral to our topic tonight. All right, here's our paper, and we're talking today about mistakes along the journey. All right, so in your headphone journey, you're going to make mistakes, as we said, but that's okay. So the number one first thing that I see people do as a mistake when they're just starting out in their journey is the belief that it's just a headphone. You know what? That's a capital J. Now, in that, there's a little bit of a logical fallacy, right? So indeed, you know, whether you get a really great expensive headphone or a cheap headphone, you know, if you start with, oh, where'd it go? A headphone that falls off your table and into the trash, you're gonna have a bad time. Did I put it back over here? Uh-huh. Okay, so you might see a lot of people touting, you know, super cheap-fi stuff, you know, like these headphones are like, you know, somewhere between $17 and $15, you know, for under $20, these are a really good value. They don't have a headband, and they do have some of their own flaws. But, you know, they're going to play the same notes. They're going to convey the song. You're going to be able to enjoy the music with them. But you kind of get what you pay for. When you go to a more expensive headphone, you'll have better separation and sound stage, better, lower distortion, more clarity of the notes. You might really enjoy the timbre of a headphone. That's it's spelled kind of like timbre with the R and the E switched, but timbre is another thing you might get out of a headphone, a nice tone that you enjoy. So same notes, but you may experience more performance and agility with a more expensive headphone. And sometimes it's the form factor, sometimes it's the precision of the construction. In general, you know, there really is something to be said for getting something what you pay for. So a more expensive headphone will oftentimes give you more, and a really great $50 headphone's not just plain not going to beat a, you know, or a $200 headphone's not going to beat a $600 headphone, $500 headphone. That's just how it is. All right, number 2. Bammo. Blaming the headphone. Well, EvShrug, that's straight up contradictory to what you just said. You know, if a more expensive headphone can sometimes offer more than a cheap headphone, you know, why not blame the headphone, eh? Where does that go? So, you know, well, I'm saying that because a lot of times people will get into their second phase of their headphone journey, And okay, so I started to get some more experience with headphones, and I've tried something. It was like $100 or $200, and they're having a good time. But they've been using portable headphones, and they say, okay, well, I don't understand. I've went out and I bought, a $300 headphone or so. This one's the venerable and well-known Sennheiser HD650. This is a 300 ohm 101 102 sound pressure level decibel measurement sensitivity headphone. We can talk all about what that means in another video, but they might be saying, okay, I don't understand, this doesn't sound leaps and bounds better than my $50 headphone. Why am I not hearing what everyone else is talking about? It must be the headphone. Well, at a certain level and a certain quality of headphone, what you feed it really matters. So you may not have a very great experience. It's not all that different from a portable headphone when you're just using your phone. But if you add to it a larger amplifier with some more power, suddenly you're going to be able to have different frequencies. The low end response will be more supported and stronger, with a better impulse control, so you'll feel like a really tight bass and a better richness to the sound. And then you can also hear more refinement in the treble, and things are breaking up less and having lower distortion. Some sources, one example of a really not so great source, some sources are really, really entry level. You're not going to get much power or separation or fidelity out of this wireless receiver, right? A lot has to happen before it goes out to your headphone from that little jack there. So if at some point you're going to want to invest in more quality and gear upstream. Number 3. And this is my final point. Now, after you've moved up from, the $200 headphones, you start to really care and really be passionate about the hobby, and good on you for doing that. I see a lot of people get too caught up in the science. Now, when you get too caught up in the science, you've started to learn just enough to get yourself into trouble, right? So you may be able to understand, impedance. I learned about impedance. That's really important. And, the impedance of, your amplifier, the impedance of your headphone. And then we start learning about frequency response graphs, and you've got your bass to treble, and oh, okay, well, this headphone has a lot of dips and peaks, and that's just automatically bad because, I want it to be straight. I want neutral and real. The thing is that when you start learning that science, you can learn just enough to get in trouble but not understand the whole story, right? With a frequency graph, we could talk more about why you're going to actually want to naturally expect some curvature, and sometimes a well-designed little dip could actually help with filtering, extra clarity, and things like that. But if you spend too much time focusing on any single one of these measurements and you judge it before you ever actually hear it, then you start getting into this thing that I call missing the forest for the sake of the tree, and you just get too narrow focused in on this one little aspect of audio sound and kind of forget how much all else exists out there. And quite honestly, we don't have measurements, we don't have science to explain everything that happens in headphones. And while we keep getting closer, we're getting quite clever. At the end of the day, we buy headphones to listen or to create art. Headphones is as much art as it is science. You can't have one without the other, so if you listen to a headphone, it never sounds like it's graph. Back to everything we have on here. In short, all this mistake is just at any stage in your journey, don't close your mind too much to the possibilities. All right? That's, in summary, the biggest mistake that you can make is thinking you know it all. And I definitely don't know it all. And I hope you guys don't know it all. But I am going to try to do as much as I can to try to open your mind and to also give you some knowledge that you equipped to work with, and also show you the caveats so that you don't get too caught up in your little box. And feel free to tell me stuff too, because I'm always learning. I'm EvShrug, and I'm still learning stuff every day, but if you want to come on this journey with me, subscribe and hit that notification bell.